we're going to keep going on the subject of suicide prevention, which is a very serious topic, but just for a moment, I want to get unserious because I'm so excited Whitney Reynolds is back. Whitney's Women.
I'm so happy to be here.
Back after her maternity leave with 2 little babies at home, now twins, so adorable.
It is so wild to be a mom, but I tell you,
know.
it kind of brings like everything that we do here in the studio and why it's important to raise awareness for organizations even more to light whenever you're a mom, because you're like, I want a better world for my kids.
Absolutely.
So.
And it also puts just everything in general in perspective.
It
Things
does.
that you used to think were a big deal before, and now you're like, whatever.
Right,
You know?
totally
Yep.
true. But you know, there's still some things that are near and dear to my
Absolutely.
heart, and I appreciate
Absolutely.
those little mommy breaks more than ever.
Yeah.
You know, but
do you have to lock yourself in the bathroom yet? Like, that's where I get my private space. is
we
I don't want to lock the bathroom door.
We have been tempted,
Yeah.
you know, just lock it, turn the hairdryer on, kind of mutes out the cries.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just kidding about that one. But it is great to be back.
Yes, we're
you know.
happy to have you back.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm so glad that everything went well. You know, the twins, they're healthy, they're happy. And I think they're happy that I'm back at my thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so what brings you in today, though, is a very serious subject. We were just speaking with a retired Army major about suicide and suicide prevention among military.
Right.
But certainly suicide is not just something that can affect military families or people in the military. It can affect everyday people.
Anybody. And that's the thing. Suicide and depression does not discriminate.
Nope.
I've learned a lot about this in my studies with the show and all that kind of stuff because we look into this topic because, you know, mental illness is something that I think we all deal with in some type of capacity, and it's really important to keep us in check almost every year, every day, every month of the year, just to make sure that our mental health is just as strong as our physical
and
health.
it's just as important. And there's always been sort of this black cloud over mental illness or mental health, really. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean,
Right.
that is just as important, getting that checked up on, just
Right.
as it is going to get your body physically checked up on. So
It's like we never get embarrassed when we say, hey, I'm going for my annual, you know, health exam.
Exactly.
But like the mental exam's just as important, I believe. So, and we have someone here today that's very special. She, her name is Erica. She is with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You sit on the board. You also have a very personal story when it comes to all this. So it's great to have you in the studio, and welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your willingness to bring the subject to the public forefront where it really belongs. We need to start talking about it, like you said.
Yeah. So you got involved with the foundation. You've been involved for years.
For years, yeah, several years now. Kind of started back in 2005, I believe, when I was driving to work, and I first heard about the Out of the Darkness overnight walks that the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention offered. And it was the first time since my sister's suicide in 1983 that I even knew of an organization that would
wow. So
talk
you had a
about
sister who
I had a
committed
sister.
suicide.
Right. She was 20 when I was 15, and she died when she was 20. So,
Wow.
And as a 15-year-old, you know, the last thing you want to do is talk about suicide and
Of
heavy
course.
topics. And
Any age, but
Sure.
I mean, it has to be especially traumatic in your
Right.
teen years.
yeah, you know, I just wanted to fit in with my
Right,
friends. I
right.
didn't want to be, you know, sort of targeted for something, you know, as serious. And back in 83, there was even more stigma to,
Right,
to
right.
suicide and mental health. So really nobody was talking about it. And so it wasn't until several years later that I heard about the Out of the Darkness overnight walks, which were, I think at that time there were 20-mile walks that
Okay.
started at
That
dusk.
is a long
That
walk.
is
It
long.
was long,
Yeah.
you know, after 5, your feet feel it.
Yeah.
But they start at dusk and you walk to dawn. So coming out of the darkness, there's like
Okay.
a theme of
Oh.
bringing the stigma, you know,
Both
bringing this whole
literally
idea
and
together.
figuratively,
You got it,
yeah.
Exactly. And in my own personal story, finally acknowledging that this is part of my history.
Right, right.
So, and up until that point, I really hadn't talked to anybody about my personal stories.
You never sought any sort of counseling after your sister's suicide?
I did not. As a
Okay.
15-year-old, no.
Okay.
And-
I was just wondering because I think
Yeah.
nowadays, and again, you were talking 1983, but I think nowadays if something that traumatic were to happen, you know, to one of our children,
Sure.
let's say a sibling or a close friend, I think the first thing any of us would want to do is maybe get them in to talk to
Definitely.
someone to just get those feelings out there and see where we stand and what might we need to do to
I
help.
certainly hope so.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I hope
that's-
we've come further. than
Right,
that.
and that's what I was going to say, just comparing, 83 to where we are now, even though we still have a long way to go with it,
Right.
people are talking about it more.
And that is such a great thing. And I kind of ignored it.
Mhm.
In fact, I went to the doctor because I had clicking in my jaw.
Okay.
And when I went, he said, and this is maybe a few months after my sister and
Stress
dad died.
related.
It's totally stress
Yeah.
related. But he asked me the question, has anything happened in your life that's causing this, that could cause this for you? And I said, honestly, no. I didn't even think of it. I didn't even think that this
Really?
was like affecting me in that way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until
Interesting.
college where I struggled myself with depression. And
Okay.
I realized, you can't ignore this.
Right.
You have to actually acknowledge not only the fact that I had a family member die by suicide who struggled with depression, but that I was also struggling. So,
Right.
Well, and
so it
it's-
was in college that I first
And it's one of
started
those
counseling.
things too, like you and I were talking earlier, that it can be the happiest person. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that they don't have depression, because people are always like, they were so happy, I don't know what happened.
It's a weird thing because
Yeah.
what you're seeing on the outside
It's
certainly
not-
is not reflective of the inside. Because the few people that I've known who've taken their lives, you would never expect them to have done it from what you see out and about and with groups of friends and
Right, and oftentimes
Doesn't-
that's
yeah.
the case. I mean, my sister's case, she was life of the party kind of girl.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah, that's-
student,
yeah.
But I think there's also a lot that has to be said for education and knowing what those warning signs are, because frequently we oftentimes say, there was nothing to show us that there was a problem. And I think in retrospect, at least in my case too, with my sister, in retrospect, she was showing signs.
was she?
She was showing signs. She was actually seeking treatment,
Okay.
but I don't think she gave it enough time. It was a very short stint
Mhm.
with counseling and medications and things. But
Yeah.
but even to the point of as a 15-year-old, I don't know that I would have seen the signs.
Right.
I looked at her as my
Looked up to
caregiver,
her.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I knew she was different. She just changed her whole demeanor. She was not life of the party anymore. She cried a lot. She isolated. She stated that she thought she was a burden to people. And ultimately, we found out she was giving things away, personal items away. So, there's just a huge shift in who she was as a person. That's a
Yes.
big red flag. Whenever people start behaving in ways that are way
Right.
off character, those are big red
And
flags.
when you become educated with what signs to look out for and this kind of stuff, is when you become more aware, not just of yourself, but others as
Yes.
well.
Right.
So you went to this walk, and then was that, you said, the first time you really acknowledged that this had happened, that this was part of your history as well?
Publicly, yes. I mean, I had gone to counseling where it was, I discussed it with my counselor, and I went through several counselors. I think that's a really important thing too, is, find a fit that fits you. Don't
Right.
accept just the first person that might not make sense to you, or it's not working. And so it was the first public event where I was among, and that just floored me. I was among so many people that were affected by suicide.
But it has to, and this is going to sound weird, but like in a strange way, that had to feel good to be among all these people who had shared the same thing. When you're out in the world and you're with your friends and you're doing your own thing, you can feel kind of isolated. That maybe you're walking alone. That not everyone has felt this, but here you are with this group of people who know exactly.
Right, exactly.
Where you've been and how you feel.
That's exactly it, Brooke. Because, I, at the point of the walk approaching, I felt really good at where I was in my healing journey. And I actually thought, I attended thinking, you know what? I have worked through this. I have seen counselors. I am ready to be that support person for the person that's walking next to me.
Right.
And I approached the hill. This is in Soldier Field. Where
Okay.
we kicked off the walk. And I approached the hill, and I just see all these T-shirts with all of these faces
Yeah.
on them, and I totally lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's healing for everybody involved too. So
Yes.
let's talk about the
Yes.
walk real quick that's coming
Great.
up. Yeah. So tell us about the one that's approaching.
We do have the Chicagoland Community Walk, AFSP
Okay.
Out of the Darkness Chicagoland Community Walk, coming up on October 15th. So just about 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
People can sign up where?
We can sign up and register and donate at chicagowalk.org.
That's easy.
ChicagoWalk.org. Yep,
Yeah.
there's
We can all
simple-
remember that.
And you
Yeah.
don't
Exactly.
necessarily have to be impacted to walk,
No.
but
No.
I think it's such a great thing just to stand beside maybe one of your maybe
Maybe
you
with a friend
personally.
who
Yeah,
is
that's what I was gonna
impacted.
say.
I
A
mean,
friend
it goes a
and
support group,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah,
So.
all sorts of people attend.
Yeah.
We have people that just support the cause. They don't have
Yeah.
a personal connection at all. And I really think we all need to get on board with that.
Yeah.
That's what my husband and I were there last year,
Mhm.
and someone came up to me that lived out in the suburbs, but her sister saw we were there, and she was a sorority sister of mine from Baylor.
Okay.
So it was amazing. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
this became more personal
Connection.
Yeah.
as we were there. Yeah. So
exactly.
you never know.
Well, so
It'll be
October
that way.
15th,
October 15th.
and let's throw out the website one more time for people.
ChicagoWalk.org. You can register. If you can't attend, we definitely encourage fundraising. You
Right.
can still be a virtual walker.
Cool.
And check-in registration is about 9 o'clock, and then we have a great program that runs until about 11 when the walk kicks off. So we've got a silent auction, we have dynamic speakers, we have all kinds of memorial and
It's a
tribute
full
events.
day.
It's
It
a full
is.
day.
It's a really special
Great.
day.
It is a special day.
Well, I hope that everybody gets out and walks. I hope the weather's nice because we could still have some nice walkable weather in October.
Absolutely.
And I am so happy to have had you come in today to share your story and let everyone know about the walk. And I'm so happy to see you again, Whit.
Yes.
It's been forever. And let's not forget that your new season kicks off on October 17th.
2 days after the walk.
Yeah.
We'll be right here.
Yeah.
So new season full of topics, just like suicide prevention, that are raising awareness for things we need to hear. So
Yep.
tune in.
Definitely. And I'm out of time. I got to get out of here. So thank you to
Thank
all
you.
of my guests. It's been the weekly show. I'm Brooke, and we'll do it again next week.